Hello, everyone. I'm going to be sharing my senior capstone proposal today. I titled it How Social Media can connect audience to film, just because that's what I did cover in my research paper. I really wanted to showcase how social media can influence such a large industry such as the film industry. Sorry, one second. Okay. So again, hi, I'm Madison. I am a four-year student here at the University of Hawaii West Oahu. I'm originally from Mililani High School, so I'm not sure if many of you guys were also from there, but if you were, hi. I am currently studying creative media and I have a concentration in communications and new technology. Going into the summary, just as a general overview, my plan for my senior capstone project is, to put it simply, is to build an online social media campaign aimed to celebrate film and to educate others on film. Um, my objective for my research is just to showcase the influence of social media marketing and how it had such an influence on the film industry as opposed to other forms of marketing. I also wanted to address the significance of the project to me, and that was just really to utilize social media to create conversations around film and just, I guess, the industry in general. Going into my thesis statement, I have it written down for everyone. Hopefully, you guys can see the screen okay still. Throughout the history of Hollywood and the industry that follows, marketing has been a primary source of media gain and consumer behavior for numerous filmmakers and production companies. Going into my objective and rationale for the research I had conducted, my research was to, again, showcase the influence of social media marketing in the film industry as opposed to other forms of marketing. I chose to research this topic because, as someone who has a love for film and wants to eventually pursue social media marketing, I've just found it really interesting to watch the rise of social media usage throughout the years for not only just content creation, which has been pretty popular throughout the years, I would say, through apps like Instagram and TikTok, but just it being used in a business standpoint as well. I've noticed how beneficial and diverse it can be used as a tool, and I hope through this project it can show how it can be used to build engagement within the film industry and the community in general for people like aspiring filmmakers and film students as well. My plan for my senior capstone is to create a project. So that's basically going to be a online social media campaign that educates audiences about film. I would utilize a social media platform such as Instagram just because I feel like it's one of the more commonly used social media apps today compared to apps like Twitter or Facebook. I feel like um, film students especially, which is one of my target audiences, be it would be more beneficial for them because it's an app that most of them would use more often, I would say. I would also utilize components such as just engaging content. So that would be things like spotlight series that can highlight specific genres through the use of graphic elements or visual elements. I would also generate polls and questionnaires that can encourage audiences to learn more about film. So I kind of want you guys to think of it as like trivia almost. So that kind of can be interactive with my audiences. And I also wanted to really showcase community involvement within the campaign. So that would be like community forums that allow my audience to have conversations centered around film and to kind of be able to connect with others who might be either an aspiring filmmaker or a film student as well. I think it would just be a good tool for those audiences and those just like those target audiences to seek a community centered around the film industry in that way. I also think that going back to the community forums, if I were to create sort of like highlight reels that center the audience answers to the discussions I share online would be pretty cool to also post to the Instagram account just so that everyone can kind of communicate with one another and those conversations can be generated around film as well. Going to my first significance, I think that because we live in such a technologically advanced and dependent world, we all kind of see social media as a platform that can be utilized in order to communicate and network with one another, especially. I definitely think that social media is pretty rapidly growing and it's consistently changing, sort of similarly to the film industry. I think in a way they're really similar because with the constant growth, there's always room for improvement, if that makes sense. There's not really a right or wrong way to approach this. So I think being able to utilize social media can kind of create a unique image and also in that way in that same sense social media can also just be used to create that sense of loyalty between filmmakers and audiences through the use of networking. Going to my second significance, it's pretty straightforward that almost everyone uses social media. I think whether or not it's a use of communication or obtaining news, the vast majority of us are users on one or more social media platforms. Um, Reaching audiences, I think specifically, has been really easy through social media and how constantly changing it is. It's just become a lot easier and faster as a tool for promotion on platforms, again, such as Instagram, that are designed to be based off of user algorithm and it automatically just targets user interest through the use of what people are liking on Instagram, what people are sharing on Instagram, the conversations that are being had through apps like Instagram. I think the use of a social media platform such as that is easy in a sense to reach algorithms and reach our target audiences a lot faster. Um, the graph I have for you guys today shows a look into specifically user generated content. So that is related to social media. So whether or not that's TikTok videos or again, Instagram posts or tweets, it's shown through this um, graph conducted by Deloitte Insights and Digital Media Trends that younger audiences, specifically Gen Z, has about 60%, about 60% of Gen Z has said that they prefer user generated content because they don't have to spend time looking for things to watch as compared to other forms of marketing. So I think that kind of goes to show that target audiences such as film students fits a lot into this project because Gen Z typically tends to rely on social media for things like movie recommendations or TV show recommendations. I think a lot of the younger generation uses this form of media consumption just because it's so much easier than any other form of marketing. Going into my target audience, I think upcoming filmmakers again is probably my main target audience just because I think the use of this campaign can be an example of how they can connect with their audiences through social media and can kind of be a toolkit to show them how to use social media to their advantage. But on the other side, I also think that film students and film enthusiasts can also learn more about areas through the campaign, such as film history or um, again through areas that my project's gonna include, such as film spotlight posts, which educate them on not only different genres, but also things like diversity within film. So I think the campaign kind of all around will benefit anyone who's interested in film. My proposed solution at the end of the day is a campaign that will act as an example for aspiring filmmakers wanting to connect with their audience through social media, um, specifically with the use of community involvement and interactive activities. So I think through really showcasing community involvement and interactive activities, it'll kind of pose as a toolkit for aspiring filmmakers to use when wanting to promote their own films. I also think it can, again, provide information for film students and film enthusiasts wanting to educate themselves on the industry altogether. I think having these interactive trivia games and having posts where people can have these conversations will help for film students and film enthusiasts to have that community to learn about the industry together. Going into my preparation and process for this project, I would first begin with collecting the actual information that I want to share through the campaign, whether that be generating the questions for my polls or getting facts that I might want to share through the Instagram posts. I would also create the actual Instagram account and then design an image for the account and the posts shown. So I think with social media, it's again, you want to make sure that your image is pretty unique. So I think workshopping an image that stands out to audiences will really benefit the success of the project. Going to the actual production of the process, I would finalize the list of content being shared. So I would basically have a finalized list of questions, have a finalized list of the content wanting to be shared. I would also start creating visual components after establishing the desired image for the content. So I would have a exact image in mind, an exact aesthetic in mind for the account. And I would eventually end with uploading the posts to Instagram and actually utilizing things, utilizing components such as hashtags to connect with audiences and to further engage through Instagram. And I think I would also want to network with others that I have in my personal life. So whether that be sharing it with friends or family. Going to my deliverable, I have a example of an Instagram account layout. I would be utilizing Instagram as my desired social media platform. I think it's just the easiest way because of the way Instagram's laid out. Everything is in a grid. Um, everything's in a grid design, so it's easy to look through. It's easy to navigate. I think having all these different posts shared evenly, so covering all areas such as posts dedicated to audience conversation and posts dedicated to factual information about the film industry, it'll just be a lot easier to have a grid layout for audiences to easily navigate the actual information of the actual account. I also have an example of Google Forms that I would use to conduct the polls and surveys that I would share to the Instagram account later. I think, again, similarly to Instagram, it's just easy viewing and it's commonly used. So a lot of people are going to be easily able to navigate that actual application. It's just organized all together. So I think I would just be able to easily post a link to the poll and then have people answer the questions. And then I would then gather all the information and share it for further audience conversation. I hope you guys enjoyed my presentation, and I am open to any questions that anyone might have for me based off of what I may have missed or anything that you guys may still have may want me to further elaborate.